Okay. I can't believe I'm saying this. This is the last show of 2022. So, my single question is, y'all ready for this? Come on, come on. What is going on, Human Hope Familia? It's episode 89. Man, episode 89 of the Human Hope Podcast. Like, actually, I'm a little bit, like there's some, like I am not type A personality at all, but there's something in me that wants to end with an even number. Like this can't be it. Last show of the year, 89. But just like my life, things are a little bit odd. And so that is what we are going to do. We're going to call it a season, not a season. Season 1 of the Human Hope Podcast is going to be 100 shows. So after 100 shows, we'll go into season 2. We're still in season 1, almost 2 years later. I feel like I'm slouching. Do you guys feel like I'm slouching? I'm going to fix my mic here. Oh, no. Oh, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see what a mess I'm making here of the microphone. But yeah, this is it, guys. I'm taking a couple weeks off for Christmas, but I will be back hyped as ever to be hanging out with you guys in the new year. So I just want to use today for a little trip down memory lane. I know we've got a lot of new listeners. We have some people that may have jumped in halfway through the year, that may have jumped in towards, every time there's like a big happening on my socials, I'll get an influx of listeners to the Human Hope Podcast. But there's those of you that have just been here from day one. Round of applause for you. Thank you very much. And I just want to thank you. But for those of you that are new around here, and listen, I know I personally don't have time to go through 89 episodes of content. So why don't I maybe tell you some ones that I think maybe you should go back and listen to. And if you've already listened to them, go back and re-listen to them, because I do believe that re-listening to some of these conversations can open up a whole new ideas in maybe what the guest or myself was trying to introduce into your life. So that's what we're going to do. We are going to reminisce for a few minutes. But before we do that, I do want to, as I'm recording this is Wednesday, December 14th, 2022. I just want to let you guys know, I feel heavy today. I can actually see it in my eyes as I look on the camera. And I think I know why. But maybe not. So Twitch, who is just an incredible dancer, choreographer, super talented artist, and he also for a while was Ellen's DJ. I think it was her DJ, hype guy. He chose to end his life, and that is gutting for me. I've had friends that have done that, and I know the horrific effects it leaves on friends and family. And I just want anyone that's listening to this to know that if you ever feel or hear any thoughts to say to harm yourself, you literally can dial 988 on your phone. You can dial 988 on your phone, and somebody will be there to talk to you. And, sometimes we don't want any one of our own family members to know. But I'm here to tell you a couple things. Number one, we need you. Number two, you matter. And number three, there's someone available to talk to you. So you can dial 988. It's been designated as the new 3-digit dialing code that will route callers to the National Suicide Prevention Line. just by dialing 988. So please, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, somebody is there to talk to you. Somebody that doesn't know, but that cares about you. And I'm just gutted. I'm bummed. And I just can't hide it. Like I was trying to wait until I didn't feel what I feel right now. And it never left. And so here I sit knowing that I've got a podcast to record, but I'm also heavy with that. And you know what? Like I'm actually like, in the last few days, I've just woke up with a little bit of anxiety in my chest, a little bit of anxiety in my throat. And just know that that's normal. It is. It's normal. It's a normal part of the human condition. I don't think it's anything that we need to get used to, that we don't need to stop fighting against, that we don't need to stop praying for healing. But I do know that as fallen humans, as broken people, we feel it sometimes. And so I'm looking at you saying that you matter. I hope you hear my voice. If you are in the darkest place you've ever been, hearing Carlos telling you that you matter, we need you here. Tomorrow needs you. And I'm just hoping that you reach out for help at any point. Just remember 988, just as easy as 911. 911 is an emergency number, so is 988. So anyway, love to Twitch's family, his wife, Allison, his beautiful children, Wesley, Maddox, and Zaya, as they've lost their incredible father. So I wanted to lean into that and speak into that and just let you guys know that there's hope, no matter how it is you feel. So let's lean into what I hope will be a great refresher course or something new for many of you guys that are brand new listeners to the Human Hope Podcast. And what I want to do is, we are on episode 89. Okay. So that is, I just can't believe that I've done 89 of these in a row. I'm still so proud of myself. But I want to go back. I'm not just going to go back this year. Let's just go back from the very beginning. When I first decided to do Human Hope Podcast and I signed a deal with Annie Downs, That Sounds Fun Network, podcast network. I didn't know. I'm like, am I going to do guests every week? Am I just going to talk myself every week? And it's, I kind of like that it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I look at your data. I look at your stats. Some of you guys definitely come back more often when it's just me teaching. Some of you guys are like, nah, I'm done with this dude. I hear him all the time on my freaking phone. I'm tired of him. So you come back specifically when I have guests. It's so funny because you can, just to let y'all know, the little podcast spies are spying on y'all. We can see like the minute that you say, oh, I'm done. And it's either when I'm like, this is the guest this week and y'all don't want to hear it, which is totally fine. I don't want to hear everybody and everyone's podcast. Or it's when I'm like, we don't have a guest, it's just me. And you're like, oh, I'm bouncing. So like the immediate cutoff there is actually really entertaining to see. Of course, I don't tell my guests which ones people bounced on more often, but one that you did not bounce on. And for those of you that don't know, episode 1 of my podcast, the very first one after the trailer, was the woman, the myth, the legend herself, Sharon McMahon. So if you rewind all the way back to episode 1, it is Sharon. And we got some real bad audio going on there. But we definitely, it's the most meaningful episode for me. It's the most meaningful for many reasons. One of them just being that she is one of the greatest humans that I know and just gives so much hope. So if you guys, for the 0.002% of you that don't know who she is, just go follow her. She's an incredible human. And anyway, that first episode, if you haven't listened to it, go back. We talk about, I'm just a bill on Capitol Hill. And do you guys remember that? Remember that song? It was so good. We talk about that, but she really leans into really her heartbeat behind what it is that she's doing. And I like it because, this was in March of 2021 and so much has grown for her. She's probably grown 800,000 people since then on her Instagram and her podcast is blowing up. And so just to be able to go back for a second and see like million followers, Sharon McMahon, that's a great episode. So if you want to do that, and then one of the more popular episodes that some of you guys may have missed was episode 2. To be honest with you. And I know people were hyped. It's a new podcast, but if the downloads tell me anything, this is still one of the most downloaded podcasts weekly. Okay, weekly. And it was titled this: Can Empathy Heal Racism, Sexism, and All the Bad Isms? Why, yes. Yes, it can. And so, we dive into that single facet of our emotional intelligence that I believe could accelerate the healing of racism, sexism, and all other unequal treatment of people around us. So we give 4 things to stop doing when it comes to growing your empathy, or really losing your empathy, and 6 things to start doing if you want to see your empathy increase. So that's episode 2. I know you guys will have fun with that one. I mean, that one took a lot. That was a lot of research. I mean, and I remember thinking after that, like, oh my gosh, like, what, can I do this every single week? It was rough. Now, I was excited when it finally went out, but I remember thinking to myself, I don't know if I could do that every single week. That was a lot. Okay, one of my favorite episodes, and one of your favorite episodes, was with my good friend, dear friend, Leanne Miller. Leanne she's a chef, a cook, a hospitality queen, used to own a bed and breakfast, all kinds of things up in Amish country, Ohio. What's the name of her town? Worcester. Worcester, am I saying that right, Ohio? Worcester. And gosh, man, you guys, this was a fun one because, as I continue to work on the podcast and grow the podcast, hang on, I'm refocusing my camera because it was focusing on the mic. As I continue to grow it, like I started to realize, these are some other fun things that the podcast listeners, excuse me, love. And you love when I just take my phone and I literally put my phone on her kitchen table. And I said, Leanne, tell me a little bit about you and Dee's story. Dee is her husband. Well, I remember thinking, no one's going to listen to this because I recorded it on my phone. I was thinking, you got to have fancy microphones. You got to have fancy, all kinds of fancy stuff in order to have a podcast. No, I recorded the whole thing on my phone. I think I even recorded the intro and the outro and the ads on my phone. And up until that point, that was episode 19. That was the most downloaded episode of my podcast. Ready? Amish love stories aren't supposed to be this scandalous. Dun, dun, dun. Let me hook you guys. If you haven't listened to this, episode 19, this is all good stuff that you can listen to over the holiday season before we come back with a master plan in 2023. Listen to this. Leanne Miller met a strong, soft-spoken Amish young man when her father hired an Amish carpentry crew to fix their suburban home and fireplace. 28 days later, they eloped. This is no lie. I'm not reading anymore. This is no lie. This is exactly what happened. Okay, back to it. 30 years later, she sits down to tell us the story of their 30-year love story and how it started and how it's going. I haven't been this enthralled with the guest story in a long time. What does sacrifice really mean when it comes to relationship? Now, first of all, listen, my daughters need to know there ain't going to be no eloping happening, okay? None of that happening, okay? Just in case they're listening or the boyfriends are listening. What does sacrifice really mean when it comes to relationship? How has the current cultural climate diluted what true love means? What can we learn from how the Amish do community? Ooh. More on that later. Leanne's story, it's fascinating, and you guys are going to love all the wisdom that gets poured out of it. It was an incredible episode. So that was episode 19, way back a long, long time ago. Obviously, episode 21 was when we tipped Tony, God rest his soul, who passed away this year. It was $55,000 at the time. It ended up being over $70,000. That's episode 21. That was amazing. And then, episode 23, that's when Heather and I got real down deep and serious on the podcast. And we told our story that actually helps a lot and has helped a lot of people. Heather and I have never gotten into the super specifics of our story because, I don't think that that's important. I think what's important is that you understand what forgiveness does. But we get deeper in this episode than we ever had on any before. And that's episode 23, how forgiveness healed more than just my marriage. It healed my soul. It's crazy. And we actually talked about, oh my gosh, I'm just reading this. Yeah, that was the day that I went to the maximum security prison and got to visit the only female on death row in the United States of America. That was crazy. So there was that story there. Y'all love it when Heather's on and we talk about parenting. There's a lot of those kind of happening. We did that on, excuse me. Oh my gosh, I'm choking on my own self. Episode 26, chores, discipline, homeschooling, and more, parenting with Heather Whitaker. That was a good one. If you're taking notes, just remember that one. Let's see here. Okay, now we're heading towards the end of 2021. Oh my gosh, this one, episode 35, very impactful. One of the most popular podcasts of 2021. How does growing up in our social media really affect our kids? And that was with my son, Losiah. We flew to Korea to pick my son up when he was 7 months old. I took my camera, I vlogged the entire thing. And really from the moment that we picked him up till, that moment when I did this episode, there was barely a week that had gone by without him being on camera. Well, that day on that episode, Losiah jumped on the mic and, got a little emotional talking about it. 15 years of wisdom and growth pouring out. We laughed, we cried. I apologized for putting him on camera when he didn't want to be. I think that in this world of cameras on our phones, just with us all the time and sharing that, a lot of people, I think I would do things differently. I think I would. I would do things differently if I had the chance to do it again. I would. I probably wouldn't have my kids on my. Now this is just me thinking out loud. I'm not saying this is what people need to do, but I just don't think I would have my kids on my socials until they were old enough to tell me if they wanted to or not. And can I tell you something? A 2-year-old knows, and like when they want to and when they don't want to be on camera. And those are just kind of gut paternal instincts that I feel like we all have. And I didn't use those. I didn't use my gut. I didn't use some of the intuition that I thought that maybe we could have used. So anyway, that was a great episode. That was episode 35, October 28th, 2021. And so that was a good one. I'm trying to think of some other ones here. Sharon jumped on in episode 37 again, but really things started to roll. Like we had a run at the beginning of 2022 that, let's see here. Yeah, I was starting with episode 44 and it went 1, 2. It was like 3 out of 4 of those next episodes were the most downloaded episodes of all 2022. And they happened at the very beginning of the year. Now they all had guests, so maybe I need to, look at why they were. But it was the epitome of the stories. It was stories. I mean, y'all love stories. And this first one, that if you've been following my journey on Instagram at all or socials, like that my father, he has dementia, and I've had 1, 2. I don't know. I've had 4 podcasts in my life. When I say like 4 different podcasts, and one of the podcasts that I had was called, oh my gosh, what was it called? Fill in the Blank, I think. Oh, and then before that one was called Enter Wild. But right at the beginning of my father's dementia journey, even before like maybe we were talking to him, like he didn't want to talk about it or he really didn't know. I knew that my father's memory was beginning to fade. Now, now my conversations with my dad, he maybe says one sentence over and over, maybe one or two sentences. And then if I walk out of the room, he'll ask my mom who I am. When I come back in, he may recognize me. He may not. I mean, it's gotten very hard, but I happened to record this conversation with him. And I want to say it was like 2019, maybe even 2020. I'm just guessing here. I can't remember. But I just started asking him his story. And listen, you guys have heard, if you've ever heard me speak live, I tell a little bit of my dad's story. My dad's story is so incredible. And this is when he was still cognizant. He was still cohesive with his thoughts. He was still an incredible storyteller. And on episode 44, my dad shares his story with his words. And like, I'll go back and listen to it now all the time and I'll just weep because my dad can't have conversations anymore. So this was one of the last recorded conversations I had with my dad, and you guys were so kind. You were so kind to just lean in to this story with my dad. And I know a lot of you have, you've been praying for my mom. She is the champion. A lot of you want my mom on my podcast. I don't know if she ever will. I've asked her, but it's just not her thing. But this is a story of my dad. And again, I'd totally forgotten about that recording. But when I started noticing his memory problem, and it started getting even worse, that I was like, we're putting this on the podcast. And so that was towards the beginning of this year, very powerful podcast. And then, oh my gosh, episode 45 was the most downloaded podcast of this year. Not for great reasons, because this one, it was fine, but this was episode 45, being happily married with opposing hot topic views with my wife. Now, here's the deal. My wife and I disagree on a lot of things. If you don't disagree on a lot of things with your spouse, you're lying. Okay. And when I say a lot of things, I'm not talking about all the big things. I'm just talking about over or under with the toilet paper, how you fold your t-shirts, like how, like all the, all those little things. But then there are a couple hot topic things. And, I feel like so many people, gosh, man, I'll just go ahead and say a lot of people that aren't married yet think that you have to marry somebody that looks like you, thinks like you, votes like you, talks like you, and you don't. And that's actually like, and so this was the beginning of this year. But we were talking about the V word, the shot word. I'm trying not to get censored. We talked about, our disagreement on that. We talked about our disagreement on some parenting things. We talked about our disagreements on a lot of things. And so, where I found like it was helpful to a lot of people, because it's like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, my husband, I was getting a lot of DMs. My husband and I, or my wife and I, like, we disagree on this. And it's so good to hear you and Carla, or you and Heather talk about it. Because again, like, those things don't define her. And for me, it's like, if they don't define her, why would they define anyone else in my life? So yeah, like that was an incredible conversation. But the problem with that one is that people on the internet are just mean. Hey, the dog's upstairs. Sorry guys, you're getting the whole thing here. Real deal. My dog is down here and he's about to knock things over. Sorry. Hawk, upstairs. Go upstairs. Back up. I'm not editing this out. Upstairs. Okay. People are mean. And some people that had followed me for a long time could not believe that I would be married to somebody that thought differently about me, or about these hot topic issues. Like, they were just stunned and they were so mean. And I just remember thinking to myself, man, people need to, A, they need to get a life, and B, they need to figure out how to do life better. And this was right when I was like in the crux of writing How to Human. And I just was like, it gave me more of a drive to write that book, because that was when I realized people don't know how to do this anymore. People don't know. People need therapy. People need some therapy because they're confused on how it is to do that well. So that episode was incredible. You know, so if you want to go back and listen to that again, we talk about, let me see here. I mean, a few other things that we talked about, like our kids dating, having boyfriends. How do we handle disagreeing on parenting issues? When we disagree on our finances, maybe even in our faith and theology, politics. Again, it was a super helpful episode, but there were some mean people that came at me. But you know what? And that was actually the podcast episode that Heather I was referring to last week when I was like, babe, you came back. I think her feelings are a little bit more healed after the year of having to remember what that episode was like. Speaking of therapy, I mean, what do you guys think? Time for just a quick little mid-roll break here. Hang on, I'm gonna hit the button because we got some ad music. Oh yeah, this is a little bit more chill of ad music. This is great. Hey, let's talk about our first partner. This show and episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Okay, BetterHelp is an online counseling. It's not an app. It's just an online counseling site. Unfortunately, life doesn't come with instructional manual. Hopefully How to Human can help you guys with that. So BetterHelp is a place where you can find yourself a therapist for any of life's challenges or challenging problems. Again, when you feel unsure, whether it's a career change, a new relationship, becoming a parent, or something even more traumatic that, we don't necessarily want to run into, you need some help. I love my therapist, and I'm just grateful for the work he's done in my life. And I think you guys will be grateful for finding a therapist at BetterHelp. So, as the world's largest therapy service, BetterHelp has matched 3 million people with professionally licensed and vetted therapists, available 100% online, and it's affordable. So just fill out the brief questionnaire to match with the therapist, and if things aren't clicking, you can easily switch to a new therapist anytime. It couldn't be simpler. No waiting rooms, no traffic, no endless searching for the right therapist. Learn more and save 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/humanhope. That is BETTERHELP.com/humanhope. And also this week, we are back with one of my favorite partners. That is United Faith Mortgage. United Faith Mortgage is an incredible, it's a Christian-based faith mortgage company. And with everything going so crazy these days when it comes to our finances and it comes to mortgages and interest rates and all these things, United Faith Mortgage, and I've heard from some of you, is actually coming through when it comes to helping you in this season, right? Do you want to buy a new home? Are you trying to refinance? United Faith Mortgage is the place to do it. Rates are a bit higher right now. Now they've dropped a little bit, but the strategy is right now to buy that dream home today. United Faith Mortgage can help you guys. How do you do that? Well, head over to UnitedFaithMortgage.com. That's UnitedFaithMortgage.com. United Faith Mortgage is a DBA of United Mortgage Corp., Melville, New York. For licensing information, go to NMLSConsumerAccess.org. NMLS number 1330. Equal housing lender, not licensed in Alaska, Hawaii, Georgia, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Utah. Now, back to the show. Okay, guys. Look, I did that live and on the fly. Okay, I would like to let everyone know I did that on the fly. So, nobody ever came to get my dog. Have you guys been able to see him on camera? Hawk is just wandering around down. Nobody cares. Nobody cares that I'm down here talking to you guys, doing a podcast. They're just I just don't want him to pee down here. We'll see what happens. Okay. Where else were we? Oh yeah. So those were 2 of the 3. Hawk, no, going up, go upstairs. Thank you. Being happily married with opposing hot topic views and dementia won't steal my dad's story. Now this next one, I think many of you this may have been the most helpful of all the podcast episodes for a certain demographic. Episode 47, questioning everything you ever believed about God, or as the world likes to call it, deconstructing, with my friend Derek Webb. Now, Derek Webb is an incredible musician, songwriter. He was in a band that when I was kind of like in my faith called Caedmon's Call, that I just fell in love with. Some of the greatest lyrics ever written in Christian music. And Derek, he's become a friend of mine. So I was a fan first, then he became a friend. But we had a conversation together because Derek would say he's not a Christian anymore. Derek would say that he has fully deconstructed. And so the conversation is between a friend who is a Bible believing, Holy Spirit filled, Jesus following, church going Christian. That's me. Okay. With a friend who isn't most of those things. That's Derek. Now, this isn't a conversation, that conversation, episode 47. It wasn't a conversation where we try to convince each other of anything. It was really a conversation that was just two people coming together to talk about our things. And I just think it was so helpful. You know, if you're deconstructing and you're feeling alone, if you've left your Christian faith, which a lot of people I know have, and you're feeling alone, if you're still with the Christian faith, but you've left wanting to go to church, and I just think this is a great conversation. So, I think you're going to fall in love with Derek. He's just a great, great guy. One of my closest friends. And so that's episode 47. So, I mean, you could see from episode 44 and 45 to 47, like those were some like heavy episodes. And so maybe y'all like heavy. Y'all want more heavy? You want more light? I mean, I thought about in 2023, like, why don't I just take this show on the road and like go interview fun things? I mean, like, I know we like to talk about heavy things because we like to find hope in our heaviness, but I don't know. I just was thinking like, what if I went and found like the world's largest blow up inflatable manufacturers, Christmas inflatables, and interviewed him? Like, I don't know. Would that be helpful? Like, would you guys like some more fun things like that? DM me at LowSwit on Instagram. Let me know. I'm barely on Twitter, just doing it on Instagram. And yeah, let me know. I don't know. Cause there's a lot, right? And so I kind of started when I saw the data of listeners for that episode, a couple episodes later, it was called The Church Hurt Me, Now What? Okay. I mean, yes, I went there. That was episode 50. And yeah, so, I mean, at the beginning of this year, we had a lot of heavy episodes, One of the more downloaded episodes of 2022 was also episode 56, parenting, dating teens, and dating teens talking about their parents. That was basically, we had our kids and their boyfriends, and then me and Heather all on the podcast for you guys to listen to. That is episode 56. And then episode 59 was just fun because it was live. It was my first live podcast episode. And I just, I don't know, like I want to do that more. So maybe we'll take something on the road. But that was with my friend Jeannie Stevens. And actually, like, her, like if y'all are having like panic attacks like on the daily, that's the episode for you. Like if you're like, I don't know how to handle this, the anxiety is too deep, that's the episode for you. She just really did a great job with that. So yeah, and then I had a lot of episodes this year on mental health. They're all there. Let's see here. A lot, Heather. Oh, this was a good one. Oh my gosh, I remember. So episode 69, now we're getting closer to these days. This was actually the last episode before I went offline for a little bit. And that was Raising Emotionally Strong Boys with David Thomas, right? And I need to let you know, I know people see my kids online all the time, and they're always thinking that, man, Heather, you and Heather you did such a great job with their kids. Can I go and tell you? No, we didn't. It was Sissy and David from Daystar. We've been putting our kids in therapy since like they were in 4th grade. And I'm so grateful. And David is actually Losia's counselor and one of the Losia's counselors. And we just had the most incredible talk about raising emotionally strong boys. It was a phenomenal conversation. And did you guys know, some of you guys may not know this because I was offline and you probably didn't know, but every week that I was offline this summer when I left and disappeared for 7-8 weeks, I released a podcast episode. And I know a lot of people didn't know because I wasn't on Instagram telling you, but I did. So if you were a subscriber, you know that. If you're new, and you don't know that. And so, yeah, it was incredible conversations. And in episode 72, I got to talk to Leanne again about her Amish love scandal with her husband D, who was Amish. But guess what? Daryl D came on the show too. So y'all want to hear like from his point of view, from his very stoic, quiet point of view. Episode 72 was an amazing one. When I came back from social media break, episode 74, that was a pretty baller episode. This was a good one. Episode 78. I need to do this more often because it's reminding me these episodes I want to go back and listen to. Episode 78. Why does God let bad stuff happen to good people? I mean, talk about the question. That is a question from my friend West. I brought him over. He's just so wise when it comes to that. And so he, I called him that day because he's a theologian, but I just trust him. He's taught me a lot about prayer. And so episode 78 was a great one as well. We're getting close to now. We're 88. I mean, that was episode 78. And so, y'all can go back these last few, but I wanted to give you a refresher. I wanted to let you know that there's a lot of content. Hours and hours. I want to let me see if I can find it right now. I think I was looking and it said on my Anchor app, which is what I use to record and publish my podcast, that I created in 2022, 2,318 minutes of new content. Now, I don't know how many minutes that is. I don't know. Let's see. What is 2,318 divided by 60? I'm asking Siri right now. That's 38 hours. 38 hours of hanging out with Carlos and thinking with Guzman and Chihuahua Cabello. My dog's back. 38 hours. So like if y'all need some extra things to do during the holiday season, go back, listen to some of those podcast episodes. 38 hours. That's a long time of talking into this microphone. But yeah, I just think I did that for you. I didn't do that for me, so I can listen to myself. I did it for you. So there is something. So I think just some great conversations you guys can go back and lean in. And I do have another announcement, but before we get to that announcement, we've got one more partner I want to tell you all about. Probably the tastiest partner, and I actually have different ad music for this one. Ready? Oh, this one. Yeah. This one. Okay, listen. ButcherBox. Every time I say it, I still can't believe that ButcherBox is a partner, but you can get incredible deals on premium cuts from ButcherBox, okay? But deals like this are hard to find at your grocery store. So listen to me. I need to let you know, last night, I got it was a tenderloin, okay, a long tenderloin from ButcherBox that I cut my own filet mignon. Like I made my own filet mignon. Now these things were 10 ounces. I don't know how much, they would cost like $70 if I'd have gone to some fancy restaurant, but no, not from ButcherBox. I made my own filet mignon. I like to go like on YouTube and see how to like butcher all this stuff. So I did. And so I like, if you're like squeamish, if you don't like to see like raw meat, I won't tell you everything I did to it, but I cut my own filet mignons and it's so good. And it was so convenient because it comes right to my doorstep. You get exclusive member deals so you can save big on your favorite cuts. Okay, and I love my tri-tip too. You get recipe inspiration, you get guides, tips, and hacks. Some are even personalized so that you can cook up mouth-watering meals. I love ButcherBox. So listen to this. A 1-week flash sale on the most impressive tomahawk steaks is happening right now. Your search for amazing deals on a cut above the rest ends with ButcherBox. ButcherBox is offering our listeners from Human Hope tomahawk steaks for free in their first box when you join. That's right. You get tomahawk steaks for free. Sign up today this is the way you got to do it, butcherbox.com/humanhope and get free tomahawk steak in your first box. Offer valid for 1 week only. That's butcherbox.com/humanhope to get this special flash sale offer. All right, now back to give you some of my closing thoughts. Okay, I have my closing thoughts are like, I enjoy doing this podcast, and I never thought I would enjoy like doing something every week and continuing to create something for you every week. But if there's one thing I really need, and I've asked you before, and you're probably thinking like, well, a lot of enough people answering, but it's not true. Like somebody like me that's a creator that creates constantly, if I ask you for something, like I actually really mean it. And I'm asking you, tell me what you want to hear more of. Tell me what you want to hear more of. I'm actually going to, in the next Mas Familia email, okay, again, you guys can go to my website, carloswhitaker.com, and there should be a pop-up that pops up to help you join the Mas Familia email list. So many of you joined last week, so thank you, or a couple weeks ago whenever I asked you to do that. So thank you. Okay, we have over 22,000 people that have jumped on that thing every single week. I already sent out my, hopefully you got it this week, but I sent out my gift guide. So all the things you see me using on Instagram every single week, like all that stuff that Heather uses in the kitchen, my kids love, and my teenage daughters love, like all that stuff was in the gift guide. And I'm going to relink it on Friday's email. So you still have time to get it one last time if you sign up for it. But in the Mas Familia email, I'm going to put a survey on there. And I really need you to click it and answer a few questions. Just a little survey. On how I can make this Human Hope podcast what I feel like it needs to be for you, not for me. Listen, I can sit here and talk in this mic all day long, but I want you to be getting what you want. What are the things you love about the podcast? You ain't gonna hurt my feelings, okay? Because listen, some of you guys are gonna love just me talking. Some of you guys are gonna love me talking to guests. But what is it you love? And let me get there. One of the things that I tried to do towards the end of this year, because I listened to you, is shorten my intros. Okay, I tried to shorten those things so we could get to the guts of the podcast. So I tried to do that. And I actually tried to shorten the entire episode. All the episodes used to be an hour and 15 minutes or longer, and now they're 45 minutes or less. And so that's kind of where I'm trying to sit. But please sign up for go to my website again. And actually, if you go to let's see here, if you go to carloswhitaker.com/mas Familia, Familia. I'll put it in the show notes as well. You guys can sign up there so that you can give me the feedback that I am looking for. What else? I don't know. I don't want it to end. I'm going to miss you guys these next few weeks. Let me actually tell you the schedule here. 2020. So I won't be on next week. We'll have a break. Okay, you guys enjoyed Christmas without me. I won't be on the 29th. We'll have another break without me. And then I'm back on the 5th. I'm back on the 5th. Oh man, yes. And I'm coming in hot on the 5th. Okay, so it's going to be 2 weeks. Or is that 3? I don't know. Is that 2 weeks? So from like now until I think that was 1, 2. I think it's 2 weeks. Maybe it's 3. Whatever. You're not going to hear me again until it's the 14th. No, that's 3 weeks. That is 3 weeks that I'm not going to be podcasting. Oh my gosh, that's so sad. I mean, listen, make sure you're subscribed, because I don't know if I get lonely for you guys, I may just drop in a bonus surprise episode or something right in the middle there. Okay. If I do, you'll be the only people that know. So that is it. Hey, I just thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for supporting everything that I do. Thank you for buying over 1,000 books last week. I asked you guys to pre-order the book, and 1,000 people did in 24 hours. Round of applause. Thank you. I can't wait to see you guys in the How to Human live experience. But remember, if you haven't pre-ordered the book, pre-orders really help. They really help. And again, I'll let you guys know this, that nobody else knows this, but if you order, I think it's going to be 20. If you order 20 copies of the book for like a book club, or if you and your friends together order 20 books, I'm going to, if you guys have like a book club, I'm going to zoom in to your book club for a few minutes one of the times. So I know a lot of people are planning to use How to Human as a book club, because it's actually written in a way that you guys could do it every week, or every, for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks. I'd love to zoom in. So if you order 20 copies, I'm going to hop in to your groups as well. So we can talk about all that later. Nobody knows that. We're going to launch that in a couple weeks. But anyway, hey, Dr. Delight, Dr. Dre, let's go. Come in. Not Dr. Dre, Dr. Delight. Here it is. Okay. This is the last time we're going to hear this. Hey, do I need to like change, Dr. Delight? Like, do we need a new intro and outro theme for 2023? I don't know. Y'all better let me know in the email, or I'm just going to do it. Hey, y'all ready for this? Come on. Hey, thanks for listening to another episode of the Human Hope Podcast with your host, Carlos Enrique Guzman Archibald Cabello. I'm so grateful for you. Thanks for being a part of my life. RIP Twitch. You're going to be missed. And I'll talk to you guys soon.